What's going down, DJs? Here we are. Preseason week one, the real week one, is about to get started. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the previous comments. We're going to go over some stuff today, guys. Really, the main thing we're going to be covering is a preseason game, which is going to be the Titans and the 49ers. We'll go over some other stuff here, assuming we got some extra time. But if you're looking at this at the screen right now, if you looked at the thumbnail, we do have a pick here, which is the Titans against the Texans. And I'm going to get into that. So one of the comments that we had last week, and I just want to address it on here because I don't want to type it out because it's too long, was just that some of the stuff that we cover here, can be considered noise, which I get it. That is a totally valid comment. So I don't want to shy away from that because it's hard. It's hard to determine, like, hey, man, what is just a bunch of bullshit, and then what's something that we can actually use as actionable advice. I would say, so as someone who really likes to focus on coaching, that the coaching and the coaching records and coaching tendencies matter more than the personnel. And the reason I say that is because we have lots of different examples of a player going from one team to another team, and the player just either is not as good. Maybe they were really great with one team and they failed with the other, or vice versa, right? As someone who's just not that great, it goes to another team and is just like lights out, amazing, all star. I mean, it's not just football, right? So there's other sports as well, but primarily football or the NFL because it is not an individual sport, right? Like I love basketball too, but in basketball, if you have a Kobe Bryant on your team, he's gonna make your team good. It's really all you need. And that's just kind of the way the NBA functions, right? You get a really good star player, and great, your team is immediately like playoff bound. Like the new version of that would be like a Wemby, right? But that's not the case for football. You can't have just one good player and make the whole team better. You got to have a whole squad, and really, even at that, we've even have examples of good teams, right? Like all-star caliber teams just not live up to expectations, and it is because of coaching, right? And so, if you guys watch this, you already know. Of course, I'm a Cowboys fan, at least sort of, right? But if we go back to the '90s, back when they were actually good at one point in my life, under Jimmy Johnson, they were two-time Super Bowl champs, looked great the whole time. They changed the coach. Yeah, they're still good because the players were still good enough to get them there. But Barry Switzer had very little to do with that. And after that second year, that was pretty much it. He just could never really get them to where they needed to be. And so, that's something we could do with even like today's world, right? Trying to think of a player that's left recently. But anyways, you get the point. Coaching is very important, and the players can only do what the coach is asking them to do. They can't just go out there and do whatever the hell they want. So that's why I typically stay pretty much on the coaching topics here, and that's why we use their like preseason records to determine maybe who's got an advantage, who doesn't. But you are right. I want to go over some additional information and not just the coaching records because that's not all that goes into preseason. And after the Hall of Fame game, and obviously that didn't work out the way we wanted it to, we can always add more, we can tweak. And that's another thing I wanted to cover here is the process involved in making these picks. If you got your copy of the book back when it was for free, or even now that it's still 99 cents, one of the things that keeps coming up in that book is that it's a process. It's a process that's going to go through every single week. There's certain things that you're looking for, certain edges you're trying to find and stack together. And that's really how you build your plays. It's not just a matter of like, oh man, like this team looks good, or I don't know, last week they had a really good showing, or they looked like shit last week, so now I don't want to play on them. It's a process. And the best part of having a quote unquote process is that is something you can change, something that you can edit, something you can manipulate as you see the results, right? So if it didn't work, let's change it. What didn't work? What happened? Or if it did work, it's working really great. Awesome. Why is it working? What's correlating to this? It's all math. It's all going to be correlations and R factors and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's great. I love watching football, but as far as making bets and finding edges and stuff, it's going to come down to a lot of numbers. Preseason is a little harder with that because it's really hard to get a great reading on some of these players, as well as how much time are they going to be playing, and how much time are you going to devote into critiquing these players, especially rookies and people you've never really seen before. People who maybe just did okay in college and they weren't superstars, they weren't first round picks. So how much time are you going to devote to critiquing them? and then finding out how much time they're going to play, and then finding out how the coach is going to use them. It's a whole lot. So there is an art, especially during preseason. And as we go through the regular season, there will be more data. There's going to be more numbers, more, I should say, hard data, where we're not just kind of like tweaking, factors here and there, and going with like news blurbs. It'll be what we actually see on the field. For now, though, let's look at this. I'm going to take it one step further, and it's going to include the quarterback rotations. So Titans 49ers, like I said, is the game. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said Texans earlier. It's Titans 49ers is the game that we're going to be looking at this week. Currently, the line is Titans minus 2.5. And on this one, really, all of the factors that we're looking at are going to point us to the Titans in this one. As far as the coaching stat goes, Robert Saleh is 10-2 as a head coach. And the two losses he had in the preseason, this is, of course, preseason. The two losses he had in the preseason came to coaches who also had above average winning records in the preseason. He's not lost to someone who's just like a Sean McVay. And I apologize, I can't remember who exactly it was that he lost to in the preseason when he was the coach of the Jets. I just remember it was someone that was like a 60, 70%. It might have been Harbaugh, actually. But either way, the guy goes out there, he puts up the numbers that he's going to put up. That's his 10, that's his trend and his tendency. So obviously that could change at any point. He might smell a fart that day and decide he wants to do something different. Who knows? But that's the trend that he has shown us to this point. Same thing for the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan is not a bad coach in preseason. He does put some effort behind it. He's 14-12 overall so it's not, you know, completely out of the realm of possibility that he wins this game. But it's just he's not someone who's like really going above and beyond to try to get these wins out there. So overall, we do want to give the coaching edge to the Titans here. But now let's look at the quarterback rotation, because that's the other thing. If you've never critiqued preseason before, or this is the first time you're really trying to bet it, that's going to be the second most important thing, in my opinion, is going to be the rotation on quarterbacks. Now, typically, they're not going to start the starters, especially not in preseason week one. It's possible they'll get some playing time here and there. And really, I checked and I've double checked and I went in today to see if they put anything out there as far as on the team websites or blurbs or anything. And there's really not a whole lot of anything showing how much playing time that we're expecting out of these two teams. But with that being said, I'm going to say that we see Purdy and Ward very minimally, if at all. Maybe Ward gets some run here and there, but that's only because they have a new coaching staff and maybe they want to get some, look at what he's doing live. But as far as Purdy goes, I doubt he gets on the field at all. There's no reason for him to be out there. Same coaching staff, same play style, same everything. The backup for the 49ers that I would expect to see at least somewhat is Mac Jones. And I apologize, I left him off this visual here. But Mac Jones is going to be playing against Mitchell Trubisky. And I would assume that's probably going to be what we get for the first quarter, or at least for the some point throughout this first half, depending on what they do with Cam Ward. But that being said, both of those quarterbacks are, they're proven NFL level quarterbacks. I don't want to say that they're great or that they're poor or whatever. Mac Jones looked really good last year. If I had to give an edge to someone, I would be giving the edge to Mac Jones. Like I said, in this case, really the hard part is just kind of finding out how much are they going to play. But either way, that's where they're at right now. Both of them solid backups. When we move beyond that is when we get a little bit more clarity here. We have Will Levis as the third string quarterback for the Titans. Obviously, he was the previous starter with the Titans. It was never great. Obviously, they didn't make the playoffs or anything, but decent enough. He's okay, especially when you put him in there in a preseason game against a bunch of third and fourth stringers on defense that are playing a vanilla defense as it is. The guy's going to be able to move the ball. I don't have any reservations on Will Levis being able to move the ball, whether it's through the air with his legs, whatever. Adrian Martinez, honestly, not a bad quarterback. He did come from the XFL. He's done pretty well for himself. I do remember watching him when he was in the XFL. Guy's solid. He definitely deserves to be on a roster somewhere, and he has been for the most part. I don't know if I would say he's better than Will Levis. They're probably pretty even. This is really the matchup I would expect to see for the majority of the time here. If anything, I would probably give the nod just a little bit to Will Levis, only because I think he's more willing to use his legs. Not that Martinez won't, But Martinez is a pure passer first, and then will use his legs if need be. Lastly, though, we have Hendon Hooker versus Curtis Rourke. And I'll be honest with you, I have not seen Curtis Rourke. I don't know a lot about him. He could be freaking Tom Brady reincarnated. Who knows? But I do know that Hendon Hooker is at least some sort of decent at quarterback. He knows what he's doing out there. He's been in the league here for a little bit. He's got at least some sort of availability as far as being able to move the ball, get up and down the field a little bit. Not that I expect him to put up dozens of points or anything, but I do expect that they're going to be able to run an actual NFL defense while he's on the field. I'm sorry, offense while he's on the field. So the nod in this case is going to be going to the Titans for the quarterback. It's also going to be that way for the coaching staff as well as the coaching trend. Now they are playing in San Francisco. There's one other note on that though, is that throughout the preseason, home field means very little. There's not, it's not like a full stadium. Coaching's not super impacted by the home field, either of the players, just because it's not a full stadium, right? Like there's not the enthusiasm that comes with a regular season game. And the reason I'm saying that is because it looks like, and it tends to be, that the books are still giving some sort of home field advantage. Right now, whether that's a point, a half a point, whatever, it's something. And in this case, just from what I've seen this year and really over the last 3 years, it doesn't tend to go that way. There's really not a home field advantage that is at least something that we can factor in. I would leave it at zero, at the very most a half a point, but even that seems like unnecessary. And that's the case. We do find some value then anytime we can bet on the visiting team, because the line that we're getting is going to be skewed towards that home field advantage, which is the 49ers in this case. So even if it's just a half point of advantage in our favor, right now it's 2.5. So obviously we're going to be under the 3. Same thing again, preseason key numbers are not the same, right? It is more of like a 1 or 2, 2.5 that is different. That's more of a key number than the 3. But either way, we're at least avoiding the whole field goal here, and we're gonna get the 2.5 with the Titans. There are some books out there that have it at 2, and if you can, I would find it there. Bovada has it at 2.5 right now. There is a link below for to join Bovada and get the bonus. GTBets is also going to be in the links below, and if you make the Titans your favorite team, you'll get that half point off and get them down to 2 as well. So if you want to do some extra legwork and get that extra half point, it's definitely worth it, especially for the preseason, because the 2 is a valuable number. And who knows, there could come a time, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is this game, where it is like, hey, 49ers just scored. They're down by 1. It's a minute left in the game. Are they going to go for 1 or go for 2? Well, if you have the 2 points, or in this case, it'd be the other way around. It'd be if the 49ers were the +2, then you would be able to cover regardless of what happened, right? So not that that's going to apply in this one, but it is makes that 2 a key number for sure. So keep an eye on that. See if you can shop around, see where those numbers get to. But right now, the Titans are going to be the pick at the -2.5. I don't like it at the -3, but the -2.5, I'm all on that. Also, just keep an eye out for tomorrow's video, because we are going to be having some more Madden ranking videos going over week 1, and then we're going to start moving into week 2 as well. We are going to start covering these sooner, as far as being able to do some actionable work now instead of waiting until we get to week 1, because once week 1 comes, actually once the end of the preseason gets here, you're going to see these lines start moving crazy, and the closer we get to actual kickoff, the more it's going to go nuts. And so it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but moving from that 3 to 3.5 or 3 to 2.5 is going to be huge. So we'll look at that. I'll go over some examples as far as what numbers we should be looking at for week 1, because there are some variations as far as how many points usually determine the winner for week 1. It's a little bit different from pretty much every other week out there. So we'll go over that soon. If you want to get more tips like this, whether it's for the preseason, regular season, props, whatever it may be, again, look at the link below. The book is still out there. It's still 99 cents. Grab your copy as soon as you can. The price will go up here pretty soon, actually definitely before the regular season hits. But either way, guys, thank you again. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you'll be following me on this one. And you guys have a great day.